Welcome into the DNVR Rockies podcast, brought to you by Strava Craft Coffee. Remember to use promo code DNVR25. You'll get 25% off your entire purchase of that CBD-infused, deliciously rich, and potentially life-altering Strava Craft Coffee. I'm your host, Drew Creasman. I'm the managing editor of DNVR Rockies. With me, as always, is beat writer Patrick Lyons. And on this episode, well, they didn't get swept. Hey! Road win numero 7. I can't remember. It's been siete. Numero siete. They've got 7 road wins. Patrick, they did not, as I predicted, and probably will do so for the last time, win their first road series. They're close, though. Coulda, shoulda, woulda had game 1. Still, as it were in this one, when they go down 3-2 there, Chi Chi gives up the 2-run shot. You're thinking, they're going to get swept by this team, aren't they? Colorado Rockies really about to walk in to Arizona and get swept by the worst roster in baseball. And as it went down, they made sure that didn't happen in emphatic fashion, threw out some crooked numbers finally on the road. Got a pretty decisive win as it turned out. But for a second there, Patrick, you're going,
it did have that feeling. It did have that feeling when they pulled ahead 3-2. You knew what was going to, potentially happen with the bullpen, obviously being a lot weaker these days. You saw the offense kind of struggling, and immediately the Rockies got back too. And you said, okay, you like this fight in them. Chi Chi even helped himself out there in that big spot. Dom Nunez was great today, getting those 3 hits. And then, they got a young rookie reliever, which, hey, can go that way sometimes. And Arizona couldn't barely get an out. And that 4-run 7th inning was the difference for them, avoiding that road sweep. Man, there's Texas coming up, though, at the end of August. And in September, they close in Arizona in a 3-game series. As much as we might want to, and I should kick myself right now, because I'm looking at it like, hey, maybe they could win a road series. They're not. They're not going to win a road series this year.
I don't think so. No.
They're just not.
No.
As much as, and again, that's one of the challenges that we have, and not to pull back the fourth wall, but that's one of the challenges we have in the season, is covering a team that's obviously struggling, but still has a lot of fun things going on. Maybe doesn't have a good direction. It's hard to balance and know what's what. We came on one early on in the season, and Rockies had played great at home, and you threw out there, hey, can they do well on the road here and get to 500 with a really good road stand? And and as great as they might play for
first month of the season or whatever.
First month. Yeah. Oh, very early.
When did I say that? Oh, right. I remember. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it was when they were about to go to St. Louis. So this was the first week of May, right? And you go, and again, that in a normal season, that's a great thing to throw out there.
Sure.
But when you've got, your franchise player being traded away, not to beat a dead horse, but it's like, this team is not a contender. This team is in the middle of a transition. You just take it for what it is, and you move forward. You highlight the highlights and try to avoid as many lowlights as possible, even if most of the highlights contain the lowlights in a literal sense. But today there was a lot of positive stuff there with them battling out, and it really was a full team effort. I think that was my favorite part. We'll get to our king of the game here in a second, and it was like, well, all right, you and I both were leaning towards one way. This person seems to have gotten a glut of king of the games whenever he's in it. And then there were a couple other guys you go, well, maybe if this guy didn't chip in with 2 hits, and McMahon also chipped in with 2 hits. And then at the end of the game, Nunez got his 3rd hit, his 2nd double.
Yeah, that made it interesting.
Yeah, and again, Chi Chi, helping himself out. It was a full team effort. And so it was really nice to see them get that win and, again, avoid being made to look foolish. Yeah, they lose 2 out of 3 in Arizona. They're still on a historic pace that will probably continue to a certain degree. And until they can figure that out, don't expect something different, right? It's kind of like, it could happen, but this would have been the moment you go, okay, they use that momentum at home to turn around and win a road series. They're not going to get that momentum. Some serious, real changes will need to occur in order for that to happen. And so until it does, we'll just have to highlight the highlights.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been what the season has been about, right? And I've never, as I said from day one, it really does not matter to me one way or the other how many games the Rockies lose or win or whatever. Like some people need them to lose 100 games to prove something to the front office that I don't think is going to prove at all. Or some people need them to get, the highest draft pick possible, where I'm like, I'm fine with pick 7. That's whatever. Pick 7 versus pick 3. None of that stuff matters that much to me, right? It's always been about,
and I think it should,
player developments.
I think that should.
I'm fine with it not. I'm fine with it not mattering to me, because there's just a lot of different ways those things can go. It's not that I think there's zero difference between those things. It's that I'm not going to have a particular expectation or reaction to that outcome, because I don't think it's nearly as important as a lot of other people think, for many reasons that we've run over. It's not the NBA and all of that. But beyond that, to get back to the point of the game that we just watched in the series that was just played, that these are the kinds of things that I really do think are really fun and exciting to watch. And some of it that's not, like Will pointing out on the other side. Hampson, getting his shot to get in there today, lead off. He's been a little bit better with the bat, and it just was clear from he can't hit a right-on-right breaking ball right now. He just can't do it, and they're not going to stop throwing it to him. And, that's rough. And so it seems like one of the things that we're learning this year is that Hampson's going to have to be one of those guys, if he's on your roster, who's the 25th, 26th man utility guy who's used in specific spots, and not somebody that you worry about blocking, right? Where in the future you might have worried about blocking a guy like Garrett Hampson. Now, you don't need to worry about it. And we're still rooting for him to do all of these things well. Where you're not, say, there with a guy like Dom Nunez. Well, he struggled all of that as well. There's still much more that he's got to show us one way or the other. We saw the positives out of him today. So when you see that out of Dom Nunez, or what we've seen, and you really highlighted, from these young catchers, and we've talked about that. I understand that Elias Diaz is not especially young, but from an experience standpoint, and again, from a contract standpoint, they both work out nicely for you there. But those kinds of things where you go, okay, that maybe not a part of the future. That part, there's a nice try with Hampson leading off, and let's see what this can do. And let's maybe not do that again for a while. Where the other side, you go, all right, now we've got our eyes on these young catchers even more moving forward. Nunez, you hope, is getting into a little bit of a rhythm here. And
I almost want to, kind of look at it in the aspect of he's responded to a challenge, and he's, I don't think he's had the spotlight on him, but Elias Diaz going out and getting nothing but praise for, seems like the past 2 weeks, right? It's probably closer to a week, but going out there, homering in 4 straight games, technically a first for a Rockies catcher, at least in the same season. Only the second time it's just happened in general. Handling of Herman Marquez and Antonio Senzatella, just doing a fantastic job. The walk-off hits, and you go, all right, Elias Diaz is what it's all about when it comes to catchers, right? It's sometimes for fan bases and of all sports, all around the country, all around the world, it's what have you done for me lately?
Totally.
And people go, Dom Nunez, forget him. Write him off. And again, if you're a ball player, you're an athlete, you're not listening to those people anyway. You're not even hearing those people.
Right.
So it doesn't matter. But Dom Nunez knows. Nunez knows that, man, Diaz is getting the starts 3 out of 5 days for the starters. And I've maybe lost a little ground here. And shoot, my batting average has dipped below Chi Chi González's after this game. Or at least at one point during the game, I think it may have come up. No, it's still below. It's still below, even after a 3-hit game. Hey, but bottom line is he's doing it. Yeah, he's doing it in this moment when, Diaz is got the hot hand, and it's like, all right, let's kind of forget about you a little bit. Hey, no, don't forget about me. Yeah. Here I am coming in a big spot, scoring that tying run and helping break open that big inning and helping to contribute to this victory that avoids the sweep. That, again, there's not a major spotlight on the team in general where, oh man, they're gonna have to answer all these questions from the traveling media, and there's not really much media traveling at all to begin with. This isn't a team that national media is jumping in on Zooms, talking with Buddy, or going down to the game and go, man, what's the scuttlebutt with these Rockies? Oh my gosh, that big 3-game sweep. Like it's not a big deal to have gotten swept. That being said, Dom Nunez and the Rockies, they don't want to get swept. And Nunez was a major catalyst in preventing that from happening. And so I like that kind of response and that rebound that he had in the game here today.
And you also don't want to be the worst road team in the history of Major League Baseball, and every singular win that you get inches you closer to not being that. It's like on the one, people talk about all the pacing and all that or whatever. On the other hand, it's like they got to win 6 more road ball games I guess that would tie it, right? So they got to win 7 more in order to avoid it, which I know on the one hand sounds like a ton. On the other hand, and here's the other thing about
7 is nothing. Like it can happen. It could happen so easily. Again, I don't think it will, but until it happens, it's one of those things where the switch gets flipped. It's not like they're going to look like, oh my God, hey, 2022, look out for the Rockies. They might win the division. Did you see how they played in the second half? It doesn't even have to be that extreme. It can literally just be being an average ball club, right, on the road. And you go, oh my gosh, in the last month, they've gotten 5 road wins. Like that very well could happen after the All-Star break. 3 against the Dodgers, 3 against the Angels, 4 against the Padres. That's rough. Then they go to Houston for 2. They're playing really well. 4 in San Francisco. At the end of August, 3 in Chicago, 3 against the Dodgers, 3 in Texas. So that's another long road trip. Another even longer road trip in September. 4 against Philadelphia, 3 against Atlanta, 3 against Washington, and then they finish up with a 3-game set against Arizona. So no definite 7 wins that you're going to pick off like it's the NFL schedule, and you go, all right, what are the games to win? We don't know.
I mean, I don't think it matters,
but it could happen.
Right. At this point,
they could beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3 in LA. I don't think it'll happen. No, but it could happen.
Whenever it does happen, it will surprise all of us because it shouldn't be expected. At the same time, I really don't. It's a number of people, and I had a call out a friend the other day, and a phenomenal video gamer and an excellent baseball writer. But I had to call out Dan Szymborski a little bit for using magical thinking when it comes to the Colorado Rockies, because it's like you can't be the hardcore numbers guy. He's got a 130 WRC plus and he's got a 136 WRC plus. So the guy with the 136 is objectively, definitively better 100% of the time. And then turn around and say, well, the Rockies have a magical juice that gets on them and makes everything terrible. It's like, no. There's reasons for things, and I don't quite get into the magical thinking of they just absolutely cannot win on the road because of some mysterious force out there. That said, though, the walk-off hit by pitch should have me questioning that faith just a little bit. Just make it a little bit where you're going like, okay, maybe it is magic, but at least be consistent on it. If you're gonna provide for that space for the kinds of it just for no discernible actual reason, and we've gone over a lot of the reasons why it's happening, but still it's just gotta now at this point you gotta watch them go out there and see what's gonna happen. But I still I think they can avoid the history, not by a lot. It's getting closer and closer, but there's still, as you just ran through, lots of games in there where all you need is for it to just flip around for a second, and everything that can go wrong doesn't go wrong for 2 days in a row on the road. And oh my gosh, you got a couple, because some of this is their doing, and some of it again is random dumbass luck, just sequencing luck, even if anything else. So it's Coors Field hangover and magical juice, maybe a little magical juice, just a little bit of magical juice. Rockies get magic terrible juice on everything.
Yeah. And you said something earlier about, needing to lose 100 games. I mean, I think there are probably fans out there that say that, but as, a journalist, and from everything that I've looked at and seen from inside the Rockies organization, I think actually would benefit the organization itself to lose 100 games. And we've talked about that, this just general idea that they've been able to avoid a lot of things. And, there's people make comments, the media is too soft on, Denver sports or the Rockies and stuff.
Garbage. That's nonsense. That doesn't make any sense. It's the complete opposite of true, but
right. And so it's like, regardless of either way, it's whatever side of the fence, and maybe that is true. Maybe that is one of the things where the Rockies haven't been taken to task for. But I think, again, you wrote a great article at the end of last season saying, like, the problem with the organization isn't Jeff Bridich, it's Dick Monfort. And with everything that he said in the offseason.
Exactly what I said, but
I'm sorry. Go say
that. No, I said that Dick Monfort was a bigger problem than Jeff Bridich.
Okay. Sorry. Yes, he's a bigger problem, obviously, and he's still around. Right. No. Right.
But he's not the only problem with it, and he's nowhere near as big a problem as people have made him out to be. And I said that in that article as well.
Right. But we know the buck stops with Dick. And if, he goes out and he makes certain comments, and, I think those comments are probably fueled by this idea that, hey, he is doing a really great job. And we've, probably talked about him on the podcast in a positive light, a lot more so than maybe some other folks have, and maybe other folks would not like to hear. But, I think the less quills that he, or the less arrows he has in his quiver, the maybe more likely that some real, change comes about, whether it's massive or otherwise. Maybe having 100 losses or setting a record where the team's really bad on the road. Again, that sucks for Rockies fans. I don't want that for Rockies fans. I don't want that for anyone who's working their butt off in the organization. But I think if, you feel really good, like, well, there's just rumors out there about the Rockies being a laughing stock of MLB and all these things, you can tell yourself enough things to ignore that. We know that's how the human mind works. I think this would be one less thing.
Garbage. They should ignore it. 100 games versus 99 doesn't change that. So I hear you. I've heard you make this argument.
Well, no, I just think he uses that as an excuse to say why he's to justify. I'll say that.
I don't think he would change if it went the other way. So I do not believe for 1 second if this team loses 101 games, Dick Monfort's going to wake up and go, "Oh, I'm going to be much better now." I don't think it. I just don't.
I agree. I absolutely agree. I don't think after this, immediately that happens, and when it does happen, it won't be massive. But I think those things can help. Tear down a wall and stuff. So that's, I
don't believe that wall exists. So that's where we're just coming at this from completely different places. So anyway, let's get back into the game and the play on the
king. We've got a king to crown.
The Rockies won a baseball game today. So let's toast to them on this day, their 7th road victory of the year. Take out your juice drop IPAs, maybe your hot peak. Maybe I'm only going to list the IPAs now. Get your Colorado Avalanche Amber, your lagers, whatever you got, Strawberry Sky, always a favorite, of course. And get your 15-can sampler of your Breck Brews or your Breck Seltzies down at the DNVR bar. And you get a bigger one if you're a member of the family. Do become a member at thednvr.com today. We'll throw you out a free shirt when you get the annual subscription from the DNVR Locker. All kinds of cool stuff for being a member of the family. Also, all kinds of cool stuff that comes along with being Manscaped. I can't say all of them on this show because we're mostly rated PG-13 here, but fellas, you got to get Manscaped. Now,
and if you're watching on YouTube, we can't do that either. So really, no matter the medium, we can only do so much.
Just say, Joe, make sure you're following and subscribe to the YouTube for the live Manscaped demonstration. No, that's maybe not. But fellas, you want to feel good. You want to smell good. You want whoever's taking care of you to feel good and not all grossed out by your situation. So take care of it with Manscaped. Get that lawnmower 4.0, some spritzer, some deodorant, the most comfortable pair of boxers you've ever worn in your life. And use promo code DNVR at manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with code DNVR at manscaped.com. All right, Patrick, as you mentioned earlier, here we do have a potentially controversial. I saw some people crying for Dom Nunez in the comments, and it will not be Dom Nunez as our draft king of the game. We got to hand it out to the man, the myth, the legend, Chi Chi González.
That final double by Dom was like, ooh, now we have someone who broke the tie. Toppy had 2 hits. McMahon had 2 hits and an RBI. Nunez only had an RBI and 2 hits. And then all of a sudden, hits that second double. And you go, well, someone did have to be on the other end of those Chi Chi González fastballs. So, but I'll say this again, Chi Chi, another one of those gutsy performances. That word gutsy, I feel like we haven't overused it, but it's been very apropos. With John Gray, gives up 2 runs in the first, shuts it down for 5. Yes. 3 runs in the first, shuts it down for 5. Yes. He keeps doing that. And Chi Chi, very gutsy. And in this game, it was really that one bad pitch. It was just a home run to Van Meter that kind of crushed him. And at Coors Field, okay, that's a quality start, 5 innings, 3 earned runs. No, but I submit this, that I went and I did a quick little research project, just going back and looking to see how many Rockies starting pitchers had ever started 28 or more games. Today was his 29th game. Throw a guess out there. Yeah, how many do you think? I'll say it's a little bit more than I bet you'll be very close.
Pitchers
I bet you'll be very close.
28 games or more for the Rockies, obviously.
Yes.
Right? 28 games or more started for the Colorado Rockies.
And let me I'll throw a hint at you. I'll start with the guys who have thrown 28 going into today. Eddie Butler, Chi Chi González, Masato Yoshii, Chris Russin, Drew Pomeranz through 30. So I wanted to give you like a threshold.
Yeah.
So you go, all right, if those guys make the list, who would be, right?
That's going to bump up my number by about 10 or 15, just hearing those names. Yeah.
Ooh.
That's going to put me. That's going to put me closer to, I'm going to say 45.
Yes, nice. 47. Excellent.
No kidding.
Excellent. Yes, excellent. I knew it. That's, again, tag team effort. You're the king of the game right now because you were there. I'm the Dom Nunez. I set you up. I was calling the pitches, gave you the good hint.
Right.
And so looking at this list, again, you go like, that's not a lot of guys, right? And you look at some of the other guys who've done it. And he's still sticking around, has a better ERA than Mike Hampton, which was kind of half pre, half post. Humidor, again, looking at his ERA plus, a lot of guys that weren't quite as good. Sean Estes, Jeff Hoffman, Mark Thompson. And it really actually even made me think the value that he's had. Like, think of how many games he started and think of how many games Peter Lambert hasn't started.
Right.
That's Peter Lambert's spot. And Chi Chi has gone in there and done the job.
Yeah.
Ryan Rollison, should he have been up in the majors in 2020 starting games? Right. Maybe. He's not now. He's had some injury setbacks, and Chi Chi's in there. So as much as you might want to look at his wins above replacement, right, and it's at like a half. It's less than 1. Right. That is all relative, right? We know there probably right now is probably one of those good years to look at it. There are some teams, right, Oklahoma City Dodgers maybe, that you look at their depth and go, there's a couple guys on that team that I bet that Colorado wouldn't mind having in their bullpen or maybe as their 4th outfielder to mix and match. And you go, all right, that is considered a replacement player. But if you have a bit of a hole in your system, well, you don't have that replacement player, right? You say, this guy's at 0 value over the course of his 300 at-bats. Let's get rid of him because, hey, let's bring up a young guy. What if you don't have a young guy? And the Rockies kind of have that issue a little bit right now on all sides of the ball right now in AAA. And Chi Chi has been so huge. He's a dark horse where in 5-10 years, people are going to think back on Chi Chi and just really get warm. It helps that he's doing this during a downtime. If this was more 17 and 18, he probably wouldn't be around. Some other guys would be getting starts. They would maybe look to acquire somebody in a trade at the deadline, whatever it is. But Chi Chi González has really been he's probably been the most underrated player and undervalued and underappreciated player for this organization since they were in the postseason in 2018.
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. I can't remember the entire it was when John Gray had his rough start, right? And he had given up the 3 runs on the 4 doubles to open the game. And thinking about what it takes to get out of that and the difference between baseball and some of the other sports, where in other sports, relief can come from like get off the ice and someone else will be there for you, or let's not pass that guy the ball because he can't shoot, or you're only big and strong but you're not very fast. That's okay, be a lineman. You don't need to be, whatever. You can specialize, you can do whatever. And when you're a pitcher, you have to get outs. You have one job, and very difficult, but you don't get to, like, the clock's not going to come and save you. You don't get to go play right field for this last batter for a second, and then you go back in. You get outs until the manager comes and takes the baseball from you. It's a weird job. And Chi Chi, I could not agree more. It's like someone's got to go out there and get those outs. And as we've seen, when it gets to that bullpen, when you're looking at Jolie Chassin as now your definitively best relief pitcher.
True.
He is. He's their best reliever right now. So, getting outs in Major League Baseball is never a given. And the other team, as long as you're throwing the ball over the plate or walking guys, can go, that gif of all the baseball players going around forever and ever and ever. Rockies were doing that for a second there in the middle innings in this one. So I'm with you. Chi Chi does yeoman's work because it'll never be appreciated and it'll never look great. But all the outs he got after giving up that homer, dude. Love it.
Yeah, it was huge. He only has 4 career wins with the Rockies, which is a shame. Like,
No
right?
yeah.
And you go, yeah.
12.
You go, all right. So many losses, and he had 13 losses, and you go, all right, that makes sense. There's going to be those no decisions, but you would have thought more than 4 wins, right?
And he did some games as a reliever where he was pretty good too, and you can pick up some cheap random W's, or does it only count his wins as a starter?
I'm not. I think it's just it might be his overall wins, but
it's got to be both. Yeah, it's got to be his overall.
It is.
Wins.
It's his total wins, and I think he even got a win like in LA when he came in and had a fantastic outing back in 2019 where he was really great. So, he hasn't gotten the support, and again, is the starting pitcher for a game in which they won, but he did not get the win.
Doesn't get the W.
Hashtag kill the win. Manny Randall, we see you. We see you out there.
We see you. We feel you. We hear you, Manny. All right, let's get into talking about some of the best Colorado Rockies as of late. They do have some guys going well. We do want to remind you that if you think you know who's going to be going well later on, get on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Start laying down a little bit of money. You think you know who's going to get hits, who's going to get home runs, who's going to get big strikeouts. We had the over on you for the strikeouts from John Gray. And that was another thing. I started thinking about that as he was like, he might not get any strikeouts. He might be out of this game before he's recorded an out. Well, he got 8 of them. So you live on the edge when you bet on DraftKings Sportsbook, but it's a whole lot of fun. You can make a little extra cash. And they got some fun promos. All the time they're throwing promos at you. And by promos, I mean free money to bet on whatever you want, which is really, really cool. Right now, the promo du jour is McGregor versus Poirier 3, all set up for UFC 264. So do download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code DNVR when you sign up to turn $1 into $264 when you bet on a main event fighter to win by first round knockout. Place your bet and watch the fist fly this weekend. That's code DNVR to turn $1 into $264 only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or over. Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700.
There's going to be a lot of good old DraftKings business going down at the DNVR bar this week, right? We got the UFC.
Come down for the fight.
No cover charge too, even, which I was a little surprised, but I was like, hey, all right, that's great. That's going to be packed out. Make sure you get down there early for Poirier and McGregor, and everything that's going to happen with the home run derby and just the general all-star game stuff. Just picking a random player to go out and maybe, hey, you're going to get one at bat in the game. Are you going to get a hit? Are you going to get an RBI? Are you going to hit a home run? We'll see. Like, everyone's going to want to bet on Ohtani to homer because that's never happened. Players never pitched and homered in the same game. 4 times a player has hit an extra base hit and pitched, Steve Carlton being the last one.
Real.
And a great little fun fact. Well, yeah, before the DH,
right,
pitchers hit, right?
Yeah, right. No, it makes sense once I thought a little deeper about it, but I'm living in
only 4 have even had an extra base hit.
Yeah.
And how about this? The last, I wanted to save this for the Derby and all. I couldn't resist. If I know something, I want to tell you guys out there.
It's right there now.
But the last pitcher to make a plate appearance, right? Because we've just been using the DH for a long time. Who's the last pitcher? Think rectangularly. Think about our state of Colorado. Think about a certain Hall of Famer.
A certain Hall of Famer who's shaped like a rectangle?
Who's shaped like a rectangle. No, he's from the state of Colorado.
It was Halladay?
Roy Halladay.
It was Doc
the
Halladay.
Last guy.
No kidding.
Last pitcher to ever stand in a box for a plate appearance was Roy Halladay.
Shaped like a rectangle. Yes, Will, there will be events at the DNVR bar over All-Star Weekend. I mean, all the stuff's going to be on, right? We're going to be doing a lot of fun stuff for the home run derby. Going to have watch parties for that. Going to have watch party on Tuesday for the game. Obviously, everyone hanging out, chilling, doing that kind of thing. We're trying to figure out exactly what kind of specials to get everybody for, like, shots and stuff when things happen and those kind of fun things. But I think we can announce now. It's about to go out on social media.
Yeah, now's a good time. And again, if you're listening to this on the podcast, cool. But you would have found out about it a lot sooner because we're going to tell you right now on the YouTube feed. Got a little special guest, a couple special guests coming up, but a real special one on Sunday.
Yeah, on Sunday. For those of you who want to come out and watch maybe a little Rockies and a little Yankees, see where we're Why? That's right. We'll have Talkin' Jake and John Boy. John Boy Media is going to be in town, going to be hanging out with us at the bar on Sunday. Be doing their show. They'll be watching Yanks, watching Rocks. We'll be chatting with them after the show, a little bit on our show after they do their show. So there'll be a lot of fun down at the DNVR studios and all of that. But if you want to come by and say hi to Jake and John Boy, I'm sure they'd love to say hello. That'll be fun. Fun hanging out.
That will be. And we'll see if the rumors that are circulating about them potentially bringing their wiffle ball with them. I mean, that's
right.
That's this most silliest thing in the world, and I absolutely love watching them play wiffle ball in a back alley somewhere in the Bronx. And it's just
you go ahead because
someone's keeping statistics for that. I don't know if you saw that, but someone's actually been keeping statistics for their games.
That's fantastic. That's awesome. And I do appreciate, because I feel like I'm definitely third, but on the podium, because I know you're an excellent lip reader. You're a better lip reader than I am. And I think John Boy's got us both beat just a little bit. I'm a decent one. I feel like I can get on the podium a little. I can be there in third place, but it's the thing these days. All right, let's get into the Colorado Rockies, who've been playing well lately with our regularly running series, 20th. And Blaze, the hot, fiery players for your Colorado Rockies. Believe it or not, even when they're not winning games. And in fifth place.
This was a good week because I think you could have made a case for a couple different people. And by week, we mean more than a week. The last homestands included too. We kind of, full disclosure, stretch it out just a little bit because that's how you think a guy is hot. You don't want to totally throw out something that may have happened in the Pittsburgh series because it was one day over a week ago. So we kind of take that into consideration. Fifth on our 20th in Blaze would be Mr. John Gray. He's looked fantastic over his last 2 starts, both 6 inning outings. One he gave up 2, the other he gave up 3. Did come away with a win and has really rebounded well since coming off the IL. And I tend to think that he still might not be 100%. I mean, I think most ball players aren't 100%.
Yeah, right.
And that being said, he's been really, really solid, especially considering that it's been early on that he's, gotten hit. And for him to be able to immediately rebound in the second, plate appearance that a guy sees you after already, slapping a double, or even the third appearance for the guys at the top of the lineup, he's, even more effective, is really promising for what he's going to do in the second half.
Yeah. I'm just very. This is going to sound weird and condescending or silly and stupid and whatever. I don't know. I'm going to say it anyway. I'm just very proud of John Gray. Having watched him since he was in rookie ball and everything he did in Grand Junction all the way up through it, and just that last outing really did hit me, and look how far you've come, man. I would have rage quit that game, right? You're down. You're already down 3-0. You haven't gotten anybody out. There's another guy in scoring position. This sucks. And he recovered so completely. Yeah. I think he's going to have a really nice finish to the season. And I think he and the Rockies are going to come to terms in the offseason about a long-term deal here.
It'll be cool. It'll be really cool to see. Number 4 is going to be Mr. Trevor Story getting on our list.
Yes.
We got old Trevo. Really looked recharged there in the Arenado series, played okay in Arizona. But overall, going into today, had the 2 home runs, 7 RBI. That's the other thing. Don't forget 2 stolen bases.
Yeah.
Let's throw that on top of the heap, all while, having a couple more eyes on him, being the Rockies' lone entrant in the home run derby. That'll be really exciting to see what he does. He's getting matched up against Texas Rangers slugger Joey Gallo.
Yeah, tough first-round matchup. I really felt like they could have given him Mancini's seed, but still, that's fine. Gallo could go either way. What if he strikes out? Sorry. What if he swings and misses?
What if he doesn't swing at all and doesn't understand how this game is played?
He tries to draw a walk. He forgets what's going on. He's really good at walking. No, yes.
Oh, I thought this was the on-base percentage derby. I am nearsighted. I couldn't read all the signage going around.
Why we don't have one of those. I think Trev has been a lot better over the last week or so. He's looked more just kind of relaxed and locked in and driving in runs when you expect him to, those kinds of things. Yeah. Jonathan, no, I don't think so. I saw your question earlier, and since you were diligent enough to ask it a second time, good on you. I do think the Rockies will be trading Trevor Story. Remember when we talked about qualifiers, when they gave us the Elias Diaz as the first catcher to hit a home run in 4 consecutive games in the same season? And we went, oh, that necessarily means that someone has done this, but across 2 seasons. So when I've heard a lot of different things internally, but just externally, when it was basically announced, the Colorado Rockies will not be trading Trevor Story before the All-Star break. I went, that's an interesting qualifier, because 3 days ago, Bud Black went on MLB Network and said, we will not be trading Germán Marquez. Period. And we told him so. That's pretty damn definitive. But so I do think that they're going to trade Trevor. I've heard enough chatter around, and I think that'll happen. And you're right, it is sad, but baseball, it is also probably the right business decision. You hope they get a decent return, and we'll see it when we find it. But
I agree. I think he'll get dealt, and I don't think John Gray will get traded.
Right.
I think he should, but I don't think they will. And so we'll kind of see what happens. And for anyone saying, oh yeah, but you got to get back something really good for Trevor Story, because otherwise you would have gotten a decent little draft pick. Well, A, we don't know that that's the case with the upcoming CBA, and B, you get a draft pick. how many years is it going to be until that guy is on the roster and helping the Rockies win?
Sure.
So,
I mean, you can say that about packages of prospects as well, but hopefully,
well, not as much.
It depends on, hopefully you get guys that are a little rookie. But if you're getting a bunch of guys in rookie ball or low A too, you could still be looking at, 3 years before. I'm with you. Like, it's just.
Right. Yeah. And again, does that give you some insight on what the front office thinks? No, I have. Sometimes you really don't know what they're thinking, what they're doing sometimes. But right, you take the draft pick, you're saying, okay, if we get a college player, you're not going to see them until 24, 2026. If it's a high school player, 2026 to 2028. Like, that's a long ways away. But if you're saying, you know what, with this starting rotation, we got to lock some of them up to extend their contracts. And we're believing in some of these young guys, we'll then get, players that are already in a system, get some AA,
right,
AAA players. And we'll break all that down as we get closer. And it doesn't stress me out because, man, I'm just excited for the All-Star game stuff.
Dude, I know, right?
So it's like, you know what? There's nothing charged in it whatsoever. But you know who is charged? That would be number 3 on our list, the Colorado kid. Kyle Freeland has yet to give up a run since 2 weeks ago at this point.
Kyle. Yes. He looks like the best version of himself again, competing as a full and complete athlete, doing it at the plate, doing it in the field. One of the things that I had forgotten until he did something in his last outing, I can't even remember what it was right now off the top of my head, but I just went, oh, yeah. One of my predictions after watching him as a rookie was that he was going to win a Gold Glove as a starting pitcher. Oh. And of course, now he hasn't. And then, like, right after that, we were more focused on how great he was at pitching and then how bad he was at pitching. And of course, that's been the focus ever since. But he's an excellent athlete off the mound, fielding his position. And to see him locked in right now, man, this is one of those things that Rockies fans probably root harder for the success of Kyle Freeland than anyone. He gets the longest leash of anyone who struggles, right? When his 2019 is terrible. He doesn't have the stories written in the local paper about his mental state, where the guy from Oklahoma, maybe you do that because fans aren't going to have a backlash at you as much. So, he's always had a little bit of a longer leash, but at the same time, I think it's good that there's at least one guy that everyone wants to succeed. And when he does, it feels like, again, I'll use a magic thing now. It feels like it injects the entire team. That, again, everybody, if we're all feeling it out in the media, that even the media can't be cynical about Kyle Freeland, even when he was terrible. I think his teammates feel a lot the same way, right? So then when he does well, it just creates this wonderful energy around the whole team. I love watching when Kyle Freeland is on. And
to your point about the mental fortitude, in his 11 innings pitched, that he has not given up a run. He's allowed 11 runners, 6 hits, 4 walks, 1 hit by a pitch. None of them have scored. He's stranded all of them, gotten several double plays as well. So you like what he's been able to do with a little traffic on the bases. Always had that ability to induce the double play. It's going to help you out a lot, Coors Field.
Yeah.
All right, number 2, going back to the offensive side, Mr. Elias Diaz, 2 walk-off hits in the past week, 5 home runs, batted .407 during that time span in 8 games, 8 RBI, leads the team during that span, scored 6 runs. Just, I don't know what else you could say. Did a great job handling Germán Marquez in the near no-no. Man, really great to see him kind of, have his moment here in the sun. Yeah, he's easily the breakout player of the last weeks or whatever. Since he started to break out, whenever it is, he's been their best position player, which is wild to think about, right? Hit another homer in this set that got the Rockies into the game. Now they ended up losing that one. That was in game 2, right, where they ended up kind of losing going away. But it pulled them to within 1, or maybe made it 3-1. It got them on the board, right? Even that kind of that's a big thing. Getting on the board on the road, and that it hasn't just been the homers either. Like, he looks like a totally different guy at the plate. And those of you that listened into the podcast last week, I can't remember exactly which episode it was, where
we went through and we highlighted the defense and where everybody has been at, and DRS is loving on Elias Diaz. And so if he really has figured out the bat a little bit, Rockies got themselves a nice little baseball player right here.
And for the last 3 weeks, and most of it was Elias Diaz doing the heavy lifting, but Nunez has chipped in there, and he's added to that total today with the 2 doubles and single. But Rockies catcher since June 18th, tops in slugging percentage, tops in home runs, tops in overall wins above replacement, according to Fangraphs. Better than anyone in the NL. Yachty in the Cardinals, Posey in the Giants, Will Smith in the Dodgers. Number 1, Rockies. Again, a lot of qualifiers in there, but still, you got to go out and do it. You know what? They're doing it right now.
Yeah. Gotta love that for Elias.
And the man that has been doing it and doing it well. and we're hoping that he really does do it. That's Mr. Germán Marquez, number 1 with a bullet, near no-no, then goes back out on Sunday in a day game. And we even talked about this too last week. If you recall, that his numbers at night are a lot better than his numbers in the day. Again, a lot of that can be blown apart with the fact that, we're only talking about a handful of starts on each side. So, that creates a much smaller sample size, but goes out, shoves, proves Bud Black right, because Bud Black's sitting there going, should we tell him? Should we not tell him? Oh, God, what if he craps the bed? And then now we got to go, you're an all-star. And he's like, what? I just want to take a cold shower. I got completely shelled by the Cardinals. But no, he gets his moment to tip his cap, and they make the announcement. He has the big hug with Buddy, and it's this great moment. And it's historic, and he's been great for the entire week plus.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, because I've said
no.
Superlatives.
I already know the answer is no. Also, most times when you build up for a question, my answer is no. I feel like, because you did it with, hey, did they win a series on the road?
Can they?
No. All right, I'm gonna listen. I don't want to say no to this, so I'm gonna listen.
Germán Marquez has been named to the 2021 All-Star Game. Will he actually pitch in the game?
Yes. Okay. You zigged. I thought you were going to zag on that one. Yes, I do think. I think there's even a chance he could throw 2 innings. That sounds crazy. But I think there is a chance. Yes. I believe he's scheduled to start on Friday, so that's like a good spot. I thought you were going to ask, does he get the start? And I don't think he deserves it necessarily. I think it's a great story.
Even
he's
though
probably
DeGrom isn't going to be there, just so everyone knows. If anyone didn't know, he said he is. So it's not auto.
And there's a couple there. I think there's another guy. I think that might be starting on Sunday. There are pitchers who have better numbers that are more deserving. Yes. He's a better story, no doubt about it.
It'd be cool, but
that being said, I still think because now starters of the All-Star game, 2 innings is pretty standard, unless I don't know, you get guys swinging at the first pitch and you go, all right, that was a 6-pitch first, 7-pitch second. Yeah, go out there for a third.
Right.
We'll see what happens with that, and that could be the case at Coors Field. And we don't know. We know that the home run derby baseballs are going to be left out of the humidor, but what about the ones for the game? That's a whole other thing.
They didn't clarify, did they?
But I think Marquez actually has a chance of throwing 2 innings, and yes, he will most definitely pitch in that game. Those are our subscribers to the DNVR.com. We got some articles that came up this week, and we talked a little bit about Ubaldo Jimenez is actually the last guy. Yeah. Robinson Cano is the last American League player to have made an out against a Rockies starter, because since then it's just been 2 relievers, Greg Holland and I think Brian Fuentes since then. Yeah. So that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he'll get in. I think he'll pitch well.
I think he will too.
So yeah, that'll be fun. Will's got a very specific prediction. He's got Germán pitching the 9th inning with an NL walk-off in the bottom of the 9th when Chapman blows the game. So Germán will actually get the win.
Now, and if DraftKings doesn't allow you to bet on that, go ahead. We'll do a PayPal thing.
We'll
for a $10 bet. I'll give you $4,000. I'll give you pretty good odds. So if it doesn't happen, you can just get that over to me. PayPal. Actually, you know what? Let's just go ahead and super chat that bad boy next time. So
yeah,
we'll put that in there. If you got crazy predictions and you'll have an opportunity, make sure you get your rest and you're up nice and early. Hint, hint. This week coming up, get your super chats in with crazy all-star game predictions because that stuff happens all the time. I don't think I predicted it, but I do remember many years ago thinking, and again, how much of this is corrected history? I'm like, I bet you Michael Young gets in this game late and hits, the game-winning triple. And he did. And of course I couldn't have actually done that. But I do. Right. Maybe when he came up to the bat, I'm like, all right, this is the guy on the spot because the NL just can't beat the AL for some reason going on 20 plus years.
Right. It's been ridiculous. Yeah.
It is. So yeah, get those super chats in with questions or crazy all-star game or home run derby predictions. We'll have to look at that in the coming days. Does Story get out of the first round? Who is he going to face in the next round too, right? If it's Matt Olson, Trey Mancini winner is who he'll be going up against. Right. So you don't have to worry about Ohtani. You don't have to worry about Soto. I think Soto could be a sleeper. If he can get past Ohtani in the first round, he could be the guy. But Story doesn't have to worry about Ohtani.
I've already called Matt Olson's already my sleeper, but yeah, or Story. But I think Story doesn't even count as a sleeper because if he wins the hometown guy, we all kind of go, hey, what a great story in front of whatever. But yeah.
There's one of 8 guys that can win this home run derby.
Yeah.
And no one else literally can win it. So
how many?
Drew, yeah, I think if you're one of the 8, it's not going to be too much of a surprise per se. But I feel what you're putting down, my friend.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, Patrick, I don't know if you know about what they got going on over at Ball right now, but they're doing some fantastic stuff. Yes, that Ball, for those of you wondering, Ball Arena, Ball Aerospace Tech Company, the world's largest aluminum can packaging manufacturer. Ball has been a leading global sustainable efforts for decades. They've been in 2018, 2019. They developed image surveillance. This is super cool to me, that observes natural resources from space. They got methane, ozone, even land and water use stuff they're looking at so that they're making sure that they're taking care of the environment. Ball's ASI, that's Aluminum Stewardship Initiative certification, makes it a leader in the stewardship of aluminum while meeting the highest environmental, ethical, and social standards within their market value chain. By 2030, Ball aims to reduce operational carbon emissions by 55% and across their value chain by 16% from 2017 levels. For those of you that don't know, they basically just make all the aluminum and they make a lot of glass. They make jars, cans, all kinds of fun, cool stuff. They're a fantastic place to work. And right now they're hiring, which is really super cool because they pay well. They treat their workers incredibly well, which is both backed up by the fact that they have like a 100% rating from all of the Better Business Bureau organizations and things like that. But I can also back that up from a personal standpoint because I've had a family member who's been working at Ball for decades and has had, well, if you're there for decades, usually it's a pretty good sign. You weren't immediately trying to get out the door, right? So if you're looking for some work right here in Golden, Colorado, check out, use the hashtag #WorkAtBall online and or I should say, or go to, probably don't need to do both. So if you're really a go-getter, you can do all of these different things. You can also text Golden to 77222 or go to jobs.ball.com and search for Golden. That's jobs.ball.com, search for Golden, or simply text Golden to 77222.
As two guys that love to be on the right side of a job when it comes to pro wrestling, 54-42, this is the good kind of job. You'd be on the right side of that job.
There you go. Nice.
Absolutely would. Hey, I also want to point out too, folks are a little concerned about CJ Crone. Took one to the helmet. Seemed okay. You never know. You never know. Scary. Seemed okay, so you go, okay. All right. I don't necessarily have to hold my breath too much there. He did go through some concussion tests and all the typical protocol, and according to Nick Roque, he checked out fine. So that is good that the Croner is going to be okay there in that spot. That's always scary. Take him on upstairs like that.
What is the statute of limitations on making a thick skull joke? because he a great big boy with a big thick skull, and if he's okay, I feel like I get to say, hey, good day, it came in handy, buddy. And also even the slightest of the way he turned from it, the tiniest little. We think about athleticism in a lot of different ways and instinctual things, and you usually think about like great diving plays and all this stuff. But even the ability to at the last second have turned from it might have saved himself from some very serious damage. Always scary when a guy gets hit in the head in baseball. That's the one thing nobody ever wants to see from any side ever. So it's great that he did it. Like you said, he almost immediately like got up almost to give all of us like he's okay. Thank God. Like that was for us, right?
That's a thumbs up. That's that thumbs up in a roundabout way. Yeah. And we haven't said it in a few days, but tacos, you got to point out. Road tacos, baby.
Road tacos. Fair enough. They did. Yeah. 9 runs on the road. If they could have spread those out a little more evenly across the series, they get a series W. But of course, as we know, not how it works. But still, yeah, well, it was nice to see them. And also just make the bullpen more or less a non-factor, though for a second there. Chi Chi loaded him up and then he unloaded him without letting a run score. That was pretty impressive. But yeah, like
and it was good for them to break out in that way too. You get a win, you break out, because there's times you could break out and still lose the ball game.
Yeah,
which means the bullpen really choked it up, or starting pitching was incredibly ineffective. But for them to get those runs, because that was critical. The National League average of runs per game is a little under 5. And they've only scored more than 5 runs 6 times on the road this season. And they haven't scored more than 5 away from Coors since back on May 8th, since back when they were maybe sniffing at 500, right? And so that's how bad they've been on the road. And yet, as we've been kind of saying, they've been more competitive.
Yeah.
And in this series, I would say overall it was probably on par with the last road trip, where like they were in every game,
right?
But almost like you said earlier, you got the sense of like, yeah, no, this one's just over. Like they just lack that thing, right? Until they got it, and then you go, okay, now they have the thing.
Hey, look at them go! Yeah,
right. It's going to be a lot of that of like, yeah, they don't have the thing, and until they have the thing, they don't have the thing. Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, and my mom.
But today,
isn't it 5 for tacos in Arizona? Yeah, for them. We hold ourselves to higher standards, damn it. But you're right. Yeah, they get tacos.
Yeah, but they also eat their hot dogs with ice cream and replace their Hassel Cattle Company hot dogs with churros.
I can't. Chase Field is weird. All right, one last thing, because I haven't said anything about Raimel Tapia, damn it. You've gotten 0 Raimel Tapia on this show.
Number 2 hitter Raimel Tapia? Is that who you're talking about?
Interesting.
Number 2 hitter Raimel Tapia?
I'm curious to see how he handled that. 2 base hits, sparked the rally. It's fine. Doesn't care. He doesn't care. None of it changes anything. If Raimel Tapia plays 155 baseball games, he'll hit between 290 and 310. He'll hit between 290 and 310 at home and on the road against righties and against lefties, in the clutch and in normal situations. In June, July, in June he hit like 400 or whatever, but you'll see that occasionally. But I can't help but laugh, right? Game 1 that they should have won. If they take better advantage of Raimel Tapia being the only guy who can handle the bat at the plate in that game, they win game 1. He set him up a couple of times, and then he had to go and drive in the run late, steal the bag. They couldn't bring him in after he stole the bag. He drove in the second run, comes out later, and it's just like
that's a Tapia 2-bagger.
Yeah,
that's a Tapia 2-bagger. He didn't hit a double, but he did get to second base.
Yeah. That ground ball inside the third base line for a double. That plays, man.
There's a funny look on his face too. As a good smile, not a funny look, but it was a good smile. It was a fun look on his face.
He's having fun, and but yeah. And then when he doesn't get the hits and he draws the walks, and you just go, man, this guy he's on base in every game. He's always giving whoever's behind him an opportunity to drive him in. The enduring image of Raimel Tapia should be of him on base. As much as you want it to be all the fun, cool stuff that he does in the box, or like, making a great catch in the outfield, the enduring image of Raimel Tapia is him standing on second base, looking in at who's going to drive him in.
That's it. That's what it's been about too, right? And today it was Trevor Story, Ryan McMahon. Brendan Rodgers didn't get it done, but this is now his second game batting cleanup.
I like him batting cleanup. Isn't that fun?
Second baseman batting cleanup. Do you realize that before Ryan McMahon, no player had ever done it more than once?
For the Rockies?
For the Rockies. The Rockies had never had it. It was all a bunch of guys that one game. I think it was Todd Walker. Actually, it was just Todd Walker and DJ LeMahieu. One game.
Well, yeah.
That was it. Guys have played second base batting cleanup. Like there was a game where Garrett Atkins went from third base to second base. But starting at second base, DJ LeMahieu, one game. Todd Walker, one game before Ryan McMahon came around. And now Brendan Rodgers. And we'll see if he can break the record that no one knows about or probably cares about. But hey, you know what? That's what makes me a baseball guy. I care about shit like that.
I love when you bring that stuff.
You love it too. Yeah, we all love it. That's what makes you a baseball fan.
But
right?
I do like Rodgers in the cleanup spot. Like I liked seeing him there, and like you said, even though he didn't really, do a whole lot, I just like the at-bats he's taking right now, and I hope they give him a little bit more time in the middle of the order, wherever it is, or maybe even closer to the front if they're like, well, if Story and Blackmon are getting back in there in San Diego or whatever. Daza, see, he finally broke it. He had been in a bit of a slump there, and then he hit a smash double that really was the big part that broke the rally open.
Critical.
Probably the big dagger of that whole thing. That was great to see from Daza. But if he needs a day or something, and you go back to Tapia at 1, I could go Tapia 1, Rodgers 2, Blackmon, Story if you care left, right, or flip it or whatever. But yeah, like I like where he's at right now. And while the innocent asking, we had said, before this was a potentially a 2-win road trip, and we didn't know quite how they'd sequence out. We've seen it now. Can they get that second one in San Diego?
All right. Well, you asked me about Arizona. I said no. And then I said, well, maybe they do get 2. It's just not 2 in Arizona.
It's 2.
It's 1 in Arizona, 1 in San Diego. Yeah. So put that out there.
Yeah.
That being said, they get swept.
Think they get swept?
They get swept.
I'll say they get one. Wildly innocent. Yeah. They got
I hope they prove me wrong. I hope
they're going to get a Marquez game. That's
I actually haven't even looked at the matchups, to be honest. Like oh, well, the Padres, their rotation. Well, I haven't had a chance to look yet.
The bullpen is going to get involved. And unless Marquez throws another complete game shutout, the bullpen's going to get involved. So there's only so much. I've been checking. He says the ball is flying differently in San Diego these days. Okay, I haven't really checked into that specifically, so
there's a small trail of smoke behind the ball when it flies. It knuckles now. It's flying very differently.
It's a rainbow.
Yeah, it knuckles.
I'm into it.
We'll see what happens in San Diego. It'll be
home runs.
Interesting seeing that stadium packed out because that looks like a fun environment. I know it's hard to separate, yourself when you're a fan of one team and the other team is having that fun. But if you can take a step back and go, they've suffered a lot. That fan base has suffered
that place
a lot.
has been really empty for a lot of years.
Right.
Long time. They've had some. The San Diego Padres are one of only 3 or 4 teams. I can't remember exactly. At least 3 teams in Major League Baseball who have a worse overall win-loss record than the Rockies.
So overall or since 93?
Overall.
Maybe just overall. Okay.
No, yeah. Just their overall. And that's which is even worse for the Padres because they've been around longer.
That's more
losing.
Yeah.
So the Padres have just lost more and at a worse rate and for longer than the Rockies have. And they're one of only a handful of teams that can say that. So it actually, I agree with you. It will be fun to see them having a packed house and then having fun and doing all the things. And then it'll be fun.
Not too much fun.
You quiet them for one game.
Yeah. Not too much fun.
He's just going to do some crazy fun stuff. He's amazing and it's awesome. It's whatever. It's just only have so much fun. Let's see if they get one. And no, John Gray does pitch well in San Diego. He always has, but is he on? He should get to go, right? We haven't, like you said, we haven't really looked. Let me bring it up real quick since we're doing it. I know Marquez is going. All right. The pitching matchups
Marquez should be going
Marquez versus Musgrove, on Saturday. John Gray versus Ryan Weathers on Sunday, it looks like. And Kyle Freeland versus to be determined in the opener on Friday. So I like the way those pitching matchup. Freeland, Marquez, Gray is what you want if you're trying to figure out a way to steal one of those games.
You got to be spoiled. You got to be a snake in the grass. Going back to what Kyle Freeland said at the beginning of the year, and being the underdog against those overcats, the San Diego Padres.
Sure enough. All right, everyone. Well, this was a lot of fun. We appreciate you hanging out with us, breaking this one down. We know you'll be sticking with us through the San Diego Padres series and then through all of the extraordinarily fun All-Star Game festivities. We're going to be blowing out all kinds of fun content for you, so make sure that you're following on social media at Patrick D. Lyons, at Drew Creasman, at DNVR_Rockies, at Makayla Perkins. Follow everybody in the DNVR family, actually, for this All-Star Game stuff, because we're all going to be out there providing content. You're going to want to be on social media to see, like, it's going to be videos and pictures and tweets for funny quotes from the person we just ran into who happens to be a future Hall of Famer or The Miz, or, it's going to be a lot going on. So follow everyone on social media, subscribe to the DNVR.com so you get all of that written content, the discounts on the hats and the shirts and the bigger beer when you come down to the DNVR bar, access to the Discord channel, getting to be a member of just one of the coolest families anywhere in the sports world. Great community of people who want to get together and talk nonstop Colorado sports 24/7, except every once in a while when we're talking about Loki in the TV and Disney channels and stuff. So we don't actually have a straight Disney one. That's right. We're talking about that. So thank you all so much for continuing to be the absolute best baseball fans out there. We promise that we will continue to be absolutely Patrick Lyons and Drew Creasman in here. And until next time, we will see you at the ballpark.